Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Monsoon Live. I'm your host, Jeffrey Monsoon Leyshock. My guest at this time, via Skype, out from Pittsburgh, Matt Leyshock. Let's quick give him a call. Well, Matt, thank you for joining us on Monsoon Live. How's everything out in Pittsburgh tonight?
It's not too bad.
Okay.
It's, about 8 o'clock, cold.
All right.
Starting into winter weather. So.
First question off the bat, how did you become the point person for Pinnacle Fighting Championship out there?
Well, I came up with the idea probably, I don't know, maybe like 8 years ago. And it was one of those things, I came up with the idea and I thought about it and I just didn't do it. And so I kind of put it like, just, I always had this idea of doing the promotion thing, but I just didn't do it. And then a partner of mine on something else was like, hey, we should do it, whatever. I didn't want to be a promoter. Still don't really want to be one, but I just am one now. So kind of did it under protest. But anyway, filed the paperwork, set it up. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. We've been doing it ever since. But, I came up. Did you ask me how I came up with the idea?
Yeah, how did you just come up with the idea, and what was your motivation? Like, pretty much that actually takes into my next question. What got you into MMA and boxing and this whole promotion and training?
Well, I got into it because when I was a kid, I was real aggressive, and I loved fighting. I loved, getting hit and beating people up. And the UFC was in its infancy. It was still called No Holds Barred. It was like a sideshow. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like it is now, where it's this, sport thing. It was more of like it was like a novelty thing. You went in, you fought people and all that sort of stuff. And I've always just had an odd attraction to it. Ever since I was ever since I can remember, like 5, 6 years old, I was always, into the fighting thing. So this has been basically my life's work since I was a child. So the promoting thing is just like a subset of that. It wasn't really something that I ever expected to be in. I thought I was going to be like Jens Pulver. I never thought I was going to be like putting fights on and shit. So, but we'll have our things work out in funny ways.
Now, what do you prefer to do? Be a trainer or a promoter? If you could take apart the two, like which would you want to do the most?
If I had to do one without the other?
Yeah, one without the other.
Well, I always be a trainer because that's my favorite part about fighting is the fighting part. I don't really care about any other stuff. I don't love promoting. I don't love promoting. I don't love the stress and the problems. I don't love dealing with the people. Most of the fighters are, they make it really complicated. There's some great ones, but there's also some ones that make it really difficult. Any other promoter would agree with me on that. Maybe not publicly, but as a trainer, I get to pick who I work with. I get to spend my time in a gym doing stuff I like, not really paperwork and spending money on marketing and all that stuff that I don't care that much about. So that's an easy one for me.
What do you look for in a fighter from the trainer aspect? Like, what's that? What do you look for in them that you would do with training?
Screen or like? I work with guys that are brand new. I have like 8-year-olds, and I've got guys that fight on pay-per-view. So you're talking about like somebody just walks in the gym.
I would say either, like, from the guy who just walks in to the pro. What do you look for between those two? Like, what do you look for?
Well, it's slightly different answer, but like if a guy that just walks in, there's a couple things. Like there's a series of things that I need to see before I'll really commit to anything. Like number one, I gotta see how you deal with when you get beat up. You're going to get beat up. That's the thing about fighting. Like, if you're doing it right, you're going to get beat up more than you're going to win. Okay? That's just the name of the game. If you're winning a lot, especially early on, it's just because you're on the right gym. You should leave. You're going to end up leaving if you want to get any better. So, everybody looks great when they're the hammer. What do you do when you're the nail? That's probably my biggest thing. It's an old school thing. Back in the day, when I came up in a boxing gym, they just threw you in. If you turned away, if you quit, whatever, they just told you it wasn't going to work for you. It's a little more of an aggressive approach to it than what we do now, but the concept still applies. If you can't take a shot, if you're afraid, if you're gun shy, and it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to pull you out of it, That's so. If I look for that, but mostly, I guess the answer to your question, a very direct way of saying it is, what's your mentality?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I pay attention to, because physically I can build anything. We can get guys that are going to make you stronger. We can work on technique, and we can whatever. But if you're not mentally there, you're not going to be able to do it. For like pros, existing pros, and stuff like that, I have a certain way I do things. The way I look at, like when I look at somebody, when I'm improving somebody or repairing something or whatever, I have certain ways I do it. So your skill set has to sort of align with the way I do it. If it doesn't, it's probably not going to work. It's too much of a change for both of us. Like, no matter how open I try to be, there's still a spectrum on these things. I'm an offensive-minded guy, so if you're primarily defense, I'm probably not the right guy for you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when I look at a pro that's already semi-established. How close to me are you already? If you're not, probably not going to be great.
Okay. Who are you currently training right now?
You mean like today?
Yeah, well, no.
Like
in your like if you have a stable of fighters with the pros, who are you currently working with for any upcoming fights or anything going on?
That's fine. I work with a lot of different like local regional athletes. Like Don Mazzato is a pretty high level, high name guy. He's like 11-1, probably going to get signed soon. I work with him a couple days a week. I work with a kid named Bill Hutchinson. He's 10-1 as a pro, 10-2 as a pro, something like that. For boxing, probably the best boxer, one of the best boxers on this side of the state for sure. I've worked with UFC vet Chris Dempsey a lot. I was working with him on his last fight. He's getting ready to make his run back, so I'll be working with him. I was just working with Bud Dupree from the Steelers a couple days ago, so he'll be back tomorrow. I work with a lot of amateurs right now. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody because I'm a little punchy, so I forget shit like that a lot. And I know one of them is going to be like, "Dude, I can't believe you forgot me," but I did, so I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
They know it.
We know about a lot of my viewers know about the Philly fight scene. What is the fight scene out there like in Pittsburgh? What events or what stuff goes on in the fight scene in Pittsburgh?
Basically, we have a pretty big fight scene. I'd like to think it's pretty big. I've taken a long time to try to develop it. Compared to Philly, I mean, we don't have a blue horizon, but we've got stuff that's kind of similar. Our amateur scene probably isn't as big as yours, but with something that we're developing. In terms of mixed martial arts, we have probably 5 to 10 shows a year in town, which is enough. It's almost more than enough, really. Like sometimes we have a couple different promotions that come in occasionally. I've been here for a long time. I might be the only one left. I don't even know. I don't really pay attention to that sort of thing too much.
Okay. Now,
but yeah, so it's similar. It's just smaller. I mean, we're a smaller town. So Philly, you guys got what's your population out there right now? Ballpark.
Yeah, I would say about a million.
So we've got 330,000 residents in the city. Allegheny County has like 880,000. So we're even in the county of Allegheny, we're still not as many people as you have in Metro. So it's smaller in general. We just have a good football team, so people think we're big.
Yeah. Well, hey, you won more Super Bowls than Eagles, so.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason. Moving on. Which city, I had to throw in the whole Philly-Pittsburgh rivalry. Which city do you think is tougher? I mean, I'm assuming your guys have faced some Philly fighters. Which do you think has the fighting edge, Philly or Pittsburgh?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily a toughness thing. I just think Philly has better experience. I mean, we usually have we do like Southwest Pennsylvania has their little boxing sides with like Pittsburgh, Erie, whatever. Mostly it's just Pittsburgh people, and then we fight the Philly side, and then whoever wins that goes to states. Or no, I'm sorry, goes to like nationals, and Philly typically wins the majority of those. You get a really tough Philly kid, he's just going to blow out anybody, but he's also going to beat most people in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard to it's like when you get a really tough kid from Philly, he's going to go real far, I think it's an experience thing
Mm-hmm.
more than just like are they tougher than we are? Because we're like realistically, we got a lot of really really tough, talented guys around here. Because it's just like Philly, it's the same environment. It's ugly, it's cold, you know. It's a heavily wrestling based, so a lot of these kids, wrestling's a tough sport. Like we were kind of used to it over here in Pennsylvania. You go to like Massachusetts or some of these other states that don't really do it. They're just not built like us. They don't get like the pressure and banging on each other and pushing and grinding it out every single day as like something fun to do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So like that just produces tough kids. That's why Pittsburgh's produced a lot of. We have been producing a lot of tough mixed martial artists lately, also. So, but I would say, I mean, if you're going to compare the two, Philly's ahead, at least right now.
Okay. I know I have some folks who are either thinking about becoming a trainer or a promoter. What advice do you give out to those guys and ladies who want to get into the training business or even into the promotion business? I mean, you're an example. You went through this whole process. What advice do you give them?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't be a promoter. It's not worth it. You gotta love it. If you're not already in the game, it's not worth picking up. Because if you're not already in the game, then you're doing it for money, and there's no money in it. So don't do it. As a trainer, you should already be. If you want to be a trainer, you should already be in the lifestyle. You should already be in the gym every day anyway. So like that's a natural thing. They don't need my advice on that too much. Like being a trainer is not something that you learn like on the job. You don't like go to school and learn how to be a trainer. Like you got to be in there with them every day. You got to be getting punched in the face, and you got to feel the way they feel and understand how they're. It's so psychological. Anybody can teach somebody how to box, or anybody can teach anybody. I mean, it's on YouTube. You can watch and learn. I mean, you can teach somebody. It's not that hard. You hold pads. You figure out. Okay, cool. We're gonna throw these 3 punches. That's what they're called. This is how you do it. All that sort of stuff. But when it comes to actually like explaining to them, hey, look, this is how this is going to feel. You're going to be standing up, getting warmed up, walking out, and there's going to be 1,000 people there and 300 of your friends, and being able to explain to them, kind of prep them for what they're going to be going through emotionally and psychologically. That's where the difference between like somebody who just trains somebody and then somebody who's like a real asset to the team. So I would tell them not to do it. Personally, there's a certain type of person that can do it. It's not for everybody.
Okay.
Especially promoting is worse.
Well, one of our guys had proposed this question to me, and I want to propose to you. There was a thing on Facebook right now about a young man. He in the amateur fights, he boxed, he won his fight, but then 20 minutes later he ended up in the hospital because of a seizure. He's now recovering. The question I want to propose as a trainer, should parents become concerned for their children taking headshots as they are starting to eliminate headgear from the amateurs? Should they be concerned? What's your take on it?
Yeah, you don't want your kid getting punched in the face. You just don't. At the end of the day, getting rid of the headgear is actually a good thing because headgear makes your head bigger. It's a bigger target. Your surface area is increased, so the impact is higher. It's you're going to notice that when you're hitting, you're going to get hit more as when you're wearing headgear than you do without them. That's why when you notice like glove weight is the real difference maker. Okay, if these kids were fighting in 36-ounce gloves, no one would get hurt at all. Right? You drop the glove weight, all of a sudden the injuries go up. It has nothing to do with the headgear. Because the headgear you're still receiving the impact. Maybe it's not, and it just is blunt. The surface area means that you're not getting out of the way of it as easily. And yeah, parents should be really worried. We're just starting to figure out how detrimental all this shit is. Truthfully, just like through CTE, they showed what's his name? Homeboy just died recently. Ryan Parsons. He was only knocked out one time. All it takes is once. They should be worried. This is not for everybody. This is not something that you just play. You say it's the fastest growing sport in the world. Most of the people I see are not built for it. It's a certain type of person that needs to be able to do this, that is sacrificing. And basically, you're sacrificing your life to do this. And if you're not willing to do that, you shouldn't. Doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you not for this. So.
Okay.
I'm probably a little bit different than like what most people are probably like. Oh yeah, I think that's all. No, like seriously, I watch people get hurt all the time. I pay for it. I pay them to hurt each other. I watch it. You know, I've been watching human beings fight each other since I was a kid, and I can tell you that the damage is real. It accumulates way faster than what we think. It accumulates way faster than what we want to acknowledge. We don't, you know, they some people can only need one hit. When I was in high school, I had a friend. We were in a street fight at a playground, fighting in a basketball court, and he sucker punched a kid next to me, and the kid fell, hit his head, and died on the scene right there. He was gone. So, like, some people they can get hit thousands and thousands of times. Some people can only get hit once, you know?
Okay.
So, yeah, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. It's not for everybody.
Now, my last question, because we do have folks that, you know, might be going through your area, Pittsburgh area. What upcoming event do you guys have that maybe folks can check out that either your promotion or a fighter that you're training is going to be competing in?
We have a pro-am boxing event on the night before Thanksgiving. That's 11/23 in Lawrenceville, which is like a little neighborhood here in Pittsburgh. And we got some high-end pros coming out of here. Our last pro event, we had a lot of guys from like Don King's camp come over, fight for us. That's boxing, and then we have December 17th. We're doing another mixed martial arts event where we have like Mark Cherico, who's a pretty popular guy. Don Mazzata, they're headlining the card. We're fitting in another pro in there somewhere. We were talking with Brian Rogers and some other high-end guys, potentially filling up the bottom of the pro card, and then we're going to do a pretty elite amateur series where we basically, if you don't have 10, 12 fights, we're not really, you know, doing too much with them. So we're putting those in. Not that we don't normally do. We have to have a smaller card, so we're only going with like a higher end amateur, probably like 5 or 6 fights at least. So
okay,
that's what we have December 17th and November 23rd.
Well, we'll be promoting those on the YouTube site and also on the Facebook. Matt, we're actually out of time. I want to thank you for joining us. We're definitely going to be keeping up to date with what's going on with you and your fighters, and anybody out there in the Pittsburgh area. Got to check you out and your gym. So thanks again, man.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.